AITA for exposing my parents after they raised me like a servant, and the bride's father finally noticed me at the wedding?
Welcome to Popcornrest's story. Today's story is about a woman who's been 23 years thinking we're basically invisible until one random moment at a wedding exposed a secret that's completely changed her entire life. Let's get started.
I'm writing this from a hotel room in Connecticut. It's the first time in my life I've slept in a room with a lock that I control. I keep checking it. Every few hours, I wake up and look at the door to make sure it's still closed. I don't know how to start this, so I'm just going to start. I am 23 years old. I grew up in a house in Connecticut with a family called the Pattersons, Gerald and Donna, their son Brandon, who is 4 years older than me. I slept in the basement. Not a finished basement, a basement with a concrete floor and a window that let in cold air in the winter, and I slept there from the time I was old enough to have a bed of my own. I woke up at 5 a.m. every day to clean the house before Gerald and Donna got up. I cooked. I did laundry. I was not allowed to attend school. A woman came to the house twice a week to give me lessons, but what she taught me was basic, and what I know about the world I mostly taught myself from whatever books I could find. I do not have a birth certificate. I do not have a social security number. For 23 years I have existed. As far as any official record is concerned, nowhere. Gerald used to tell me that some people are born to be taken care of, and some people are born to take care of others. He said, I was the second kind, and I should be grateful to have a clear purpose. Donna would nod. Brandon would ignore me, which was better than the alternative. I believed it for a long time. I didn't know what else to believe. 3 days ago, Brandon got married. His bride is from a wealthy family. Her father is a real estate developer, the kind of wealthy that has a name people recognize. I was brought to the wedding to help with setup and to be available during the reception if anything needed managing. I was not a guest. I was not introduced to anyone. I wore plain clothes and stayed near the service entrance. During the cocktail hour, I was carrying a tray through the hallway outside the main room when a man stopped walking and looked at me. He didn't say anything for a moment. He just looked at my face. Then he asked my name. I told him. He asked how old I was. I told him. He said, "You look exactly like my sister." His sister had been dead for 6 years. He said she had spent years before she died looking for something she never found. He asked if I would be willing to speak with him privately. I said yes. I don't know why I said yes. Something about the way he looked at me, not like I was something to be managed, but like I was something that mattered, made me say yes. We sat in a small room off the main corridor. He told me his sister had a baby in 2003, that the baby was taken from the hospital within 48 hours of being born, that his family had searched for years and found nothing. He asked if I would be willing to take a DNA test. He said he would cover everything, that there was no obligation, that he just needed to know. I said yes again. A woman came the next morning to take a swab. Victoria's father had arranged it through a private lab that could turn results quickly. I have been in this hotel room for 3 days. He is paying for it. He told me to stay as long as I needed. I have been here for 3 days, and I have not cleaned anything or woken up before 9 a.m., and I have eaten food that was brought to my door without being asked to do anything in return. I keep waiting for someone to tell me what I owe. Nobody has. I don't have a question exactly. I just needed to write this down because I have nobody to tell. Has anyone ever felt like their life was a room they wandered into by mistake and have been trying to make themselves useful in ever since? That's what I keep thinking about. Lying in this bed in this quiet room, I'm waiting for the results. I don't know what I want them to say. TL. DR. Grew up treated as a servant in a family in Connecticut. Was brought to my brother's wedding to work, not attend. My brother's father-in-law stopped in the hallway, looked at my face, and said I looked exactly like his dead sister. I agreed to a DNA test. Waiting for results in a hotel room. First time I've had a room to myself. Don't know how to feel about any of it. Edit. Victoria's father just knocked on the door and asked if I needed anything. I said I was fine. He said, okay, And then he stood in the doorway for a moment and said, "Whatever the results say, you matter." Then he left. I've been sitting here for an hour since then. Edit 2. Results are coming tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to sleep.
Okay, this story already feels insanely heavy, and we haven't even gotten to the DNA results yet. Like, I don't know, man, this whole thing just gave me such a weird feeling in my chest. The part that's really got me was the hotel room. The fact that this is the first time in their entire life they has a room with a lock they control. That says everything about how they were raised without even needing extra details. And honestly, that's just horse-freaking to think about. And the Patterson family found suspicious, literally from the beginning. No birth certificates, no school, no social security, no number. Yeah, no, that's not known at all. It geniusly feels like they wanted this person completely invisible, like hidden from the world on purpose. But then this random moment at the wedding changed everything. And that's the part that's actually throwing my mind. One guy's look at their face for like 2 seconds, and suddenly there's a possibility that their entire life has been in a lie. So I'm not even gonna lie, but at this point, I'm fully thinking this is about to turn into something horrifying kidnapping case that somehow stay hidden for over 20 years. Because if the DNA results come back positive, then the bad agents didn't just treat the person badly. They stole an entire life. Alright, so with all of that in mind, let's get into the first event and see where this story goes from here, because something tells me this one only the beginning.
Update 1, 1 week later. The results came back at 99.97%. My name is Brianna Ashford Whitmore. I was taken from a hospital in 2003 when I was less than 48 hours old. My biological mother spent years looking for me. She died 6 years ago. She never stopped looking until she couldn't look anymore. Victoria's father called the FBI the same afternoon the results came in. I want to be careful about what I write here because there is an ongoing legal process and I have been advised to be careful, but I can say what is now public record. Gerald and Donna did not adopt me. They purchased me. There was a network. The amount was $15,000. There are records. Gerald was arrested 8 days ago. He was charged with multiple federal offenses related to child trafficking. He was sentenced last week. I did not attend the sentencing. I could not make myself go to 18 years. Donna received 12 years. Their assets have been seized. The house is gone. Brandon's wife filed for divorce within days of the arrest. Victoria's father terminated Brandon's employment at his company. Brandon had been working there for 2 years, a job Victoria's father had given him as a wedding gift to his daughter. I do not feel sorry for Brandon. I have tried to examine whether I should, and I don't think I do. There is a trust fund. My biological mother set it up before she died. It had been held pending identification of the beneficiary. The total is just over $12 million. I read that number on a document and I sat with it for a long time and felt nothing, which surprised me. I thought I would feel something. I think the feeling is coming, but it hasn't arrived yet. What arrived instead was a memory. I am 9 years old, and Gerald is explaining to me that I do not need a social security number because people like me don't have futures that require one. I have a social security number now. I have a birth certificate. I have a name that was given to me by someone who wanted me. Victoria's father gave me a box last week. He said it had belonged to my biological mother. He said he had been keeping it since she died, in case the day ever came when he could give it to someone. I haven't opened it yet. I'm not ready.
So now, because the more I think about this, that the brazier is can you actually imagine being rendered for this second? Your family in Tall completely collapse in basically a week. So your parents get expelled as literal child traffickers. Your wife easily files for divorce and your job disappear overnight. And then the boss you treated like a servant. This whole town turns out to be the actual victim in the story and inherits millions. I'm sorry, but that is genuinely insane. And honestly, I know I should probably be focusing on the money or the actress, but I can't stop thinking about the mother. That mother spent years searching for her daughters, never found her, and still left behind a trust fund just in case he came home someday. Like, that hurts in a way I can't even explain properly. You can literally feel how loved Rihanna was by someone she never even got a chance to meet. And now there's this unopened box just sitting there waiting to be opened. Yeah, I already know of that too. It's probably about to destroy me emotionally. So let's keep going.
Update. 2 final. I opened the box. There were photographs. A journal she had kept during the years of searching dates and leads and dead ends, written in small, careful handwriting that covered every page. A folded letter at the bottom with my name on the front. Not Brianna. Brianna, my real name, spelled the way she had spelled it. I sat on the floor of the hotel room and read the letter. She wrote to me like she knew I was going to find it someday. She wrote about who she hoped I was becoming. She wrote that she was sorry she couldn't be there. She wrote that I had been loved from before I was born and that nothing that had happened to me had changed that and nothing ever could. I cried for a long time. It was the first time I had cried since any of this started. I am enrolled at Yale. I know that sounds impossible. For the first few months after everything came out, I couldn't imagine a future at all, let alone one that had a shape like that. But Victoria's father helped me find tutors, helped me prepare, helped me understand that 23 is not too late to start. I sat the entrance exams in the spring. I got my acceptance letter in May. I am studying psychology. I want to work with survivors of trafficking and abuse, not because I feel obligated to, but because I understand something about that specific kind of invisible that I don't think you can learn from a textbook. I started classes 6 weeks ago. I live in New Haven now, close to campus. It is the first place I have lived that is mine. Victoria's father and I have dinner once a month. He is not trying to replace what I lost. He knows he can't, and he doesn't try. But he is the only family I have, and he shows up for it with a consistency that still surprises me. Last week, he brought me a photo of my biological mother when she was young. She is laughing at something outside the frame. She has my eyes. I put it on my desk next to her letter. I look at it when the days are hard, which they still are sometimes. Not as often as before, but sometimes. She spent years looking for me. I spent years not knowing I was lost. I know now. I'm learning what that means slowly and in no particular order, and with a lot of help from a therapist who is very patient and very good at her job. That's where I am. That's the whole story, or the part of it I can tell right now. I don't have a tidy ending. I don't think there is one. There is just a room with a locked door that I control. A letter from a woman who loved me before she knew me, a desk where I do homework at a university I got into on my own. It's enough to start with. TL, DR, DNA confirmed 99.97% match. My real name is Brianna Ashford Whitmore, taken from a hospital in 2003. Gerald sentenced to 18 years, Donna to 12. Assets seized. Brandon lost his marriage and his job. I inherited a $12M trust fund my biological mother set up. I opened her box, photographs, a journal, a letter she wrote to me. I cried for a long time. Enrolled at Yale, studying psychology, living in New Haven. Dinner with Victoria's father once a month. Her photo is on my desk. Still figuring it out. Getting there.
Well, I think the reason this story hits so hard is because it's not really about the money, or the address, or even the GPA results. Is about someone spending their entire life believing they were unwanted, only to slowly discover that the exact opposite was true the whole time. And I don't know, there's just something about that feels so emotional and heartbreaking in a really human way. Like, out of this entire story, the thing that stick with me most is still the letter. So the fact that her mother wrote to her, and if she's genuinely believed one day her daughters would come back home. That's absolutely freaked me. And then years later, Brianna is sitting alone in a hotel room finally reading words that were meant for her 20 years earlier. Well, man, that's part really stay with me after I finish reading. And honestly, I love that the ending isn't magically perfect. She's still healing. She still has hard days. But now she has her own apartment, her own identities, her own future, and people who actually cares about her. Going from sleeping in the freezing basement with no legal assistant to studying psychology as well. That's actually irredeemable when you think about it, right? This whole story just feels like proof that even after losing years of your life, it's still possible to rebuild something beautiful from what's left. But yeah, let me know what you think about this one, because I genuinely want to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoy this story, don't forget to like, subscribe to Popcornrest the Story, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.